Welcome class. Today we are going to talk about lesson 2.4b. We're continuing lesson 2.4. Very similar to lesson 2.4a. We're still writing the equations in vertex form. So we're going to identify what the vertex is. We're going to label that h and k. We're going to choose one other point from the table that is not the vertex. So in lesson 2.4a, they either gave you the point or you get it from the graph. This time we're going to find it from the table, okay? We're still going to use the same process to solve for a, and then we're going to put it all together and write the equation using that vertex and that a value that we found, okay? So for this problem, first thing to identify is where is the vertex. Look at the y values. You want to find where it's repeating, and I could see that 6 and 6 here is repeating, and also 15 and 15 here is repeating, okay? So this right here is our vertex. I would recommend writing it side by side. So my vertex is going to be -2 is the x value, and the y value is 3. So that's going to be my h and my k. Pick another point. Any point will do so that we can solve. I usually try to pick numbers that are relatively small. So I'm going to pick this point here and call that my xy. So my x is going to be -1 and my y is going to be 6. I'm going to replace that in a little bit to solve for a. All right, so into this equation here, my y value is 6. My a is what I don't know. I don't know that leading coefficient, so we're going to solve for that. The x value here is -1. This minus is part of the equation, so it's really the opposite of whatever the h is. And the h here is negative, so the opposite is going to be +2 squared, and then the k is +3. Always work inside the parentheses first. -1 plus 2 is +1, and +1 squared, thank goodness, is just 1. So let's finish the problem. So this is 1 times a, so this is 6. 1 times a is a, and almost done. Subtract 3 on both sides, and we know what a is. A is +3. Now, whenever you're writing the equation, please remember equation should have x and y as part of your equation. So ready? You can write f of x if you want it to be fancy, or just plain y equals. My a value is what's going to go in the front right here. So 3 goes into the front. Now, when you write your equation, you're going to leave x and y in your equation. That part doesn't change. What you do need is the vertex. The vertex is the opposite of the h value. So opposite of this, -2 is going to be +2. Don't forget squared, because that's what makes it a quadratic. It gives you parabola. And the k value of that vertex is +3. There's our equation. Okay, so we're not graphing this, but this one is left 2, up 3 is right where the vertex is. It is opening up, and there's a vertical stretch of 3 if we really graph this. So this is going to be a skinny, skinny graph stretched up 3. So super skinny, long graph. All right, pause this video. Example 2 really is your turn. Before you start it, please do try it from beginning to end. See how far you can get, and then recheck the video to verify and see how you did. Okay? All right. Hopefully you got a chance to try this problem. I can see the repeating is actually over here. So it's not always the middle number. So this is my vertex. I'm going to write it as a point. X, my h is -1. My k is -6. It does help to label it h and k. That way you're going to substitute everything in the correct spot. Okay? All right. Remember, you could pick any other point. Says choose one other point from the table. And I like small numbers, so I'm going to go ahead and pick the one right next to it. 0, -8 is going to be my xy. Okay, let's substitute. There's my y. I don't know my a. My x is nothing. Opposite of my h is going to be +1. And my k is -6. Okay, substitute, simplify inside the parentheses. That is 1. 1 squared is just 1. So a times 1 is a. Add 6 to both sides. -2 is what a represents. Okay, so write the equation in vertex using the vertex and that point. So remember, leave y, leave x. A goes in the front, -2. X, the opposite of my h, it's negative, so opposite would be positive 1 squared, and my k is negative 6. Voila, this is our equation that represents this problem. Okay, all right, we just have a few more. It's going to be very similar, but we're going to add on using this equation to predict it. I know it sounds more complex than it actually is, but we're going to use the equation to answer another problem. Okay, so 2 more problems to do and we're almost done. So it's a very short part of this lesson. Okay, all right, so the first part is almost identical except all the steps are taken out. All right, it just says write the quadratic function, please. The fancy word function really does mean equation. So anytime it asks for a function, it's really asking for your equation. All right, so first thing, I'm going to identify where they repeat. That's where they repeat. So this is going to be my vertex, 2 and 16. The numbers are larger, but that's okay. All right. All right, so let's continue. If you need to write the regular formula first, this is the formula for vertex form, write it down so that you're careful of where to substitute. And let's pick a number that to substitute. I like to keep my numbers small, so let's pick this one. This is going to be my x, and my y is going to be 7. Okay? Oh, that's a funny looking 7. All right, so here's y, 7. Don't know a. There's my x. My h is positive 2, so negative 2 goes in. And my k is 16. This time it's 3, so do be careful. 5 take away 2 is 3. I do need to square it before I multiply. All right, 3 times 3 is 9. 9 a's. And I'm going to do minus 16 on both sides. Negative 9. 9 times a. So I ran out of space, but I'm going to divide both sides by positive 9. And that equals negative 1. So I know what a is. All right, but please complete the problem by writing your whole equation. Okay, so y equals, a goes in the front, x minus 2 squared plus 16. Again, that was where 2 and 16 was my vertex, 2 and 16. All right, so here's my equation that models this rocket. And I didn't even read the question, sorry. It says Johnny launches a rocket from the roof of his house. This table shows the height. So y is the height, x is the time in seconds. All right, so now I'm going to use that equation to answer the following question. It says use the function, so use that equation to find the height. Remember, height is y. So it says find the height. So I don't know what y is, so that's my question mark. And it says 3.5 seconds, and seconds was time. That was my x. So they tell me what x is, and I need to work my magic to find out what y is. Okay, so into the equation it goes. I'm going to rewrite this, but instead of x, I'm going to replace it with 3.5. So y equals negative 1. Right where x is, I'm going to put 3.5 there, minus 2 squared plus 16. Okay, use your calculator, type this in. Remember, you can use Desmos.com. I'm going to show you how to do this real quick. I'm going to use that as the calculator as well. Desmos is great. You can type it in just like you see it. So I'm going to type in negative 1, parentheses. You can use the keyboard down here as well, okay? So 3.5, okay, into hit enter. 3.5 minus 2 in parentheses, keep it there. I want to use an exponent of squared. I'm not done yet, plus 16. And out was my answer right there, 13.75. I'm going to write that down. So y equals 13.75. All right, let me go back to my screen. So 13.75. And if you look at units, if you go y is the height in feet. So it was feet. And that answers my equation. So on these problems, it's a multi-part. You'll find the information from the table, from a graph, or they tell you the vertex and a point. You go through this process to find the equation that models this quadratic function. And then from that equation, they'll ask you some other question. Either they give you the x and you solve for y, or they give you the y and you have to solve for x. So you just plug it in and solve. Okay? All right, there's one more turn. This one's your turn. So give it a try from beginning to end. Pause the video and then try it first and then replay the video and check your work. Please do pause and check. Okay? All right, hopefully you got a chance to check already. So I identified this one as my vertex because these are my matching numbers. Okay, so HK. Yeah, I like to use small numbers. I'm going to use this as my point. 112 is my X and my Y. Okay. Yeah, I like to rewrite. So when I substitute my Y, my X, my H, and K. Right? This is -2. -2 times -2 would be 4 because I'm squaring it right now. So that's 4 times A. So I'm going to do -16 divide. All right, that's now our equation till we have our Y equals. Okay, check your equation. Do you have your vertex? Is it the vertex, not the point? Don't get those mixed up, okay? It has to be the vertex here. The opposite of your X value, your Y value goes there. And the A that we found goes in the front. All right. Let's answer this question. It says 6 seconds after, and seconds was X. So they give me X equals 6 seconds later. What is the height? What is the height? What is the Y, which is the height? Okay, so into the equation it goes. All right, so that is 3. 3 squared is 9. That would be -9 plus 16. So my answer here is 7. Y is 7 feet. Okay, so how did you do? Check your work. Remember, you could type this in your calculator just like you see it here with parentheses, and it should work out the same as well. Okay, all right, that's our end of our lesson. Try the homework, do the best you can, rewatch the video if you